Welcome to Season 2 of the Simply Dynamic podcast. I'm Jennifer Maiden, co-creator and executive producer of this podcast, and the Assistant Dean of Graduate Studies at Rowan University's Rohr College of Business. Today, I invite you to join our hosts, Joe Gubbine and Christina Renna, for a discussion with Stephen Dougherty. Stephen is the executive director at South Jersey Transportation Authority, and his team oversees operations of the Atlantic City Expressway, the Atlantic City International Airport, and other transportation services across South Jersey.
Okay, good morning, Christina. We're here again this morning. We have another dynamic guest. That's why our podcast is called the Simply Dynamic Podcast.
We're really clever.
Yeah, that was pretty clever rebranding by the group that we had last year.
Yeah.
So our guest today is Stephen Dougherty, who's the executive director of the South Jersey Transportation Authority.
Yep.
And both you and I have known Stephen for a while. I've known him a long time. He once was in the field of political activity. We'll talk a little bit about that.
And that's how our paths first crossed.
Yes. And obviously, just as an aside issue, his family's roots go back to my neighborhood in South Philadelphia. So I knew his dad and I knew those people. Yeah, they grew in my parish. So I have a good fortune to know Steve a while. So Steve, thanks for doing this for us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. Commissioner.
Yeah, you used to call me commissioner when I was a commissioner. You're right. It's the one commissioner job I wish I didn't give up, but I didn't have the time when I became the CEO to keep on that board. But I learned a lot about transportation from all you people during that time. So, and you also became the executive director, which is very impressive.
Yeah, and I learned a lot from you on the finance side. We were always helpful in our audit and finance committees and learned a lot. And it was always a good experience.
I was faking my way through most of that stuff. No, I'm only kidding you.
So wait a second, I just thought of something. So I was
a commissioner on the South
during
Jersey.
His transitional.
That's exactly right.
And then you were my board chair during my transitional period. So we owe it all to Joe Gubbine, basically.
Absolutely.
Hey, that's not a bad thing, right?
All right,
so
Steve.
I'm going to let you start, Christina, today. How's that?
Okay. Well, I'm honored.
Hey,
I don't know. I don't know what to say.
You are much smarter than I am, so I'm letting you start today.
Well, again, thank you so much for being here. We're spending all day together, you and I, earlier today at a chamber event on transportation. So as the head of SJTA, I mean, crucial to what we do here in South Jersey, we've been talking a lot lately about South Jersey's lack of transportation, but the agency that you run, the authority, I mean, so crucial to everyone's livelihood in South Jersey. Talk a little bit about what SJTA is and what you do.
Yeah, thanks, Christina. It's always good to be with you, whether it's at a chamber event or here. Once again, someone we worked with for a long time, so it's always good to continue that. For those not familiar with the South Jersey Transportation Authority, we own and operate the Atlantic City Expressway, Atlantic City International Airport, and we provide shuttle service in the 6 southernmost counties to which we are registered to serve. We were created in 1991 by Governor Florio. At that time, the expressway, which we're getting ready to celebrate our 60th anniversary later this year, was under the New Jersey Highway Authority and then the Atlantic City Highway Authority, and then ultimately became the South Jersey Transportation Authority. At the time, in 1991, the AC Airport was owned by the city of Atlantic City, which also still owns Bader Field at this time, the first airport in the country. And we, once again, took over the airport. And then in the early 2000s, took over shuttle service from Camden County, getting folks back and forth to work and really a microcosm of what NJ Transit does in partnership with them, but really to serve and assist residents from South Jersey specifically.
Yeah, and I think that everyone knows about the Atlantic City Expressway. Maybe some people don't know you run the airport, but very few people know about the shuttle service because I feel like I just learned about it not too long ago myself. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But
so wait, I have to go back and ask this question about Bader Field because this is important for our audience. That's right. Sure. Bader Field was the first airport in the country. Yep. And when did that happen? Do you remember?
I think it was
not that you were alive, but I'm just.
I think it's coming up on. I thought I just saw something about an anniversary. I believe it was in the 1930s, pre-World War II.
Wow.
But it's definitely been around for quite some time.
Wow. So talk a little bit about the impact that the travel and transportation has on South Jersey and the benefit it has to our communities, which are important. As I used to proudly say when I was a commissioner there, that the Atlantic City Expressway, bar none, was the greatest highway in New Jersey, in the whole state, because it was always smooth to ride, it's easy to ride, it's accessible, there's a lot of exits. But talk a little bit more about the impact of overall transportation and what it means to our communities in general.
Sure. So even going back to its history when the expressway and the idea of it being built was to connect Philadelphia to Atlantic City as a resort destination for folks to get down to the salt air for health reasons and just for leisure purposes. And out of that, we've seen tremendous growth in the areas and towns in between there. So from an economic development standpoint, we've opened up a number of exits, once again, that didn't originally exist. Most recently, at Interchange 41 at Berlin's Cross Keys Road in Gloucester Township, Winslow Township, which has provided over $1 billion in development over the last few years for the restaurants, once again, commuters going back and forth to Philadelphia who live in that area, and all the support that comes with that. And once again, of course, other stops along the road, we connect to the Garden State Parkway, which is not our road, but our sister agency, the New Jersey Turnpike. And folks getting further south to Cape May County and the shore destinations there, as well as up to Ocean County and to LBI and northward. But once again, folks primarily know us for the summer travel and the summer destination, which is our peak season, which we call our 100 days of summer. Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend is once again, our busy season. But more and more, we're seeing a lot of commuter traffic from folks heading back and forth to Philadelphia, Camden County, who are living further out, but because of us have the availability to get there efficiently and safely.
Well, I'll tell you, my 26-year-old stepson is one of those people. I live in Mount Laurel in Burlington County, and
Sure.
he works at Resorts Casino in Atlantic City, and he makes that ride every day. And all the time, I say, I love having you here still, but he said, the ride is a breeze. Even in the summer, Expressway is no problem. And so there's a perfect example of folks that are driving that to and from work for whatever reason and really enjoying the experience and probably saving the money. Let's be honest, that he is living under our roof. But that's
that's
besides
okay.
the
That's
point.
smart of him.
We'll take his toll money for sure. So thank you.
And you are, and it's our toll money.
He's got the easy pass from you guys.
You betcha.
And the good thing is, it's all going to all electronic tolling.
Oh yeah.
Which was been on the docket for at least 15 years. Talk a little bit about that and what that will mean to the consumers and the drivers who use the expressway.
Sure. So we sometimes say at the toll collector is going away the milkman or the elevator operator. Mm-hmm. There's not a toll road in the country being built today that uses cash collection as part of its operation. It is truly all electronic tolling. Most recently, the Pennsylvania Turnpike went to all electronic tolling. The Port Authority, New York, New Jersey has on its facilities. New Jersey's really become the donut hole to the surrounding area for that form of transportation. And thankfully, under the direction, what was our most previous chair, Diane Gutierrez-Gichetti, who was the DOT commissioner, and once again, our chair at SJTA, very forward-thinking and a transportation expert, gave us the green light to finally move forward. We did a joint procurement with the New Jersey Turnpike about a year and a half ago now to operate under the same system, the back office of it. But what it ultimately means is if you're an Easy Pass customer, which 89% of our folks are today, nothing will change. Frankly, the only thing that'll get better is your commute time. It'll be more efficient because there will not be any stoppages either at the barrier plazas or on the exit and on ramps. For those 11% handful who operate using cash today, what will happen is you will get a bill in the mail to the address in which that vehicle is registered, and you have the opportunity to pay your toll, become an Easy Pass customer, we would hope. There is an admin charge just to process that payment, but we're getting out of the cash business. And once again, for us, it ultimately means a safer form of travel. We are safe, and this will only make it better. From an efficiency standpoint, just traffic congestion as a whole will be eliminated to a greater degree. Of course, better for the environment and the carbon emissions that will not be as strong because, once again, people will be moving. And ultimately, what we think that means is just more economic development
Right.
for those who live in the area, be able to get home hopefully at a quicker time. For those who are traveling into the area, one of the things I always talk about when it comes to all electronic tolling is one of the worst situations you can have in ending your vacation is a bad commute home, whether it's a flight or you're traveling on the express or otherwise in the traffic and, kids are in the back seat or guests of yours are or your passengers who want to drive from their spot. When are we getting home? What's going on? Why is this taking so long? That you don't want to end what would have been a fantastic week at the shore, a long weekend, a day commute, to have to sit in traffic. And that be, once again, your last memory of, do I really want to do that again? And thankfully, over time, that's gotten better, and all electronic tolling will make that better. But then folks can plan their schedule a little bit longer, right? So if you're interested in the casino properties, you might spend an extra hour gambling or seeing a show or getting something to eat.
Right.
If you're on the boardwalk, maybe I'll go and get some more Johnson's popcorn or ride some more rides. So once again, that ability to have a reliable transportation system that people can count on ultimately will benefit the region and all the businesses involved.
Yeah.
Pretty good, huh, Christina?
Yeah, and gets us up to speed with our neighbors, right? And not just our neighbors, but most other states around the country. And I was there at the groundbreaking, whenever it was, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, a month ago.
What was that for?
Now.
What was that for?
For the electronic tolling.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a great day. And everyone there, I mean, it just gets us where we need to be. And so congratulations.
I sat on that board when that proposal was in place. We could never get it forward, if you recall.
Government doesn't move fast.
No.
It's not a reflection on speed.
Yeah, it's not.
No. Generally.
How many people travel through the Atlantic City Expressway on its peak season? On a given day. On a given day.
Ooh, given day.
Let's say 4th of July weekend.
We have upwards of 2 million transactions.
Wow.
For the year, we do about 47 million. But yeah, on a peak season, one of the things too, we're seeing specific to 4th of July or in general with people who are working from home, that more people, we say Friday is our busy day, Friday night. We're seeing more and more Thursday is the new Friday.
I've noticed that as well. Yeah. Absolutely.
So folks are saying, look, if I can work from home officially or unofficially or be on call, whatever that might be for whatever employer or employee, they're going to decide to do that down the shore when they can and then start their weekend a little bit sooner, which once again, we see more traffic because of that. And then Monday mornings are becoming more of the commute time that people are waiting till Monday to go home, which helps out with the traffic as well.
So for me, since I no longer have to do that after years of being a CEO, every day's Friday for me. You know what I mean? So, and for when I choose and what I want to do, it comes Friday. So I can go down the shore Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
I'm sure, hopefully after today you will, it being a Friday and a good travel day.
I have to be here today, but I'll get there tomorrow.
Soon enough. There you go.
I mean, keep bragging about it, Joe. Please.
There are opportunities.
Yeah. No, but, we also talk a lot about, South Jersey's need for transportation, upgrades, and infrastructure. So electronic tolling is a huge step in the right direction. If you had a crystal ball and a bucket of money that was just like an endless money pit, what else would you do to improve our transportation infrastructure down this way?
That's a pretty big bucket. Transportation's not cheap, unfortunately.
Right.
Just all the components that go with that. And there's usually never enough money to go around, so for SJTA, we are 100% toll-based. So we do not receive one tax dollar from the federal government specific to the road. On the airport, it's a little bit different because we do get some FAA grants, but we are very conscious of every dollar we spend. This goes back to Commissioner Devine and his time on our committee and on the board. We are very mindful, literally, of every dollar we spend and what it's going toward. So when we make an investment for infrastructure, otherwise, we've done the work to say we know this will work and this is the impact it will have on the rest of South Jersey. So one of the projects we're working on right now from a larger scale is widening the expressway from mile marker 31 plus to up to mile marker 44.
And what towns do you know what towns they are?
Yeah, so 31 starts at Winslow Township at Route 73. And then if you're going westbound up to 44, which is a connection on to Route 42 at Washington Township and Gloucester Township. And once again, that commuter area that we're seeing more and more is traveling back and forth for work. So we're going to provide for that 13-mile stretch one additional lane in each direction. We're going to go ahead and outfit the ramps on and off ramp they're at the safety standard they should be, but to do a little bit more even than we have today. But once again, alleviating congestion from the 3 lanes down to 2 and ultimately leading up to Route 42. We're in partnership with DOT to realign up that portion of 42 where the expressway and 42 meet. So it's a little bit more of a direct route and not as much the slight turn that it is. So when it comes to transportation, as much as we want to be able to do and can do, it really becomes a partnership with sister agencies or mother agencies like DOT or the Turnpike or Parkway Because, or DRPA and all the various transportation agencies, because if we decide to do X, Y, or Z, the impact it's going to have on the other infrastructure outside of our control. So there is a constant conversation, and there is, especially in South Jersey, an opportunity to really collaborate to those things.
Right.
So I have a good relationship with John Hansen at the DRPA, of course, with DOT, Jim Crone up at the Turnpike. We just had lunch the other day. So this constant conversation about what are you working on and why, and what does that mean to, oh, we might be able to help with that, or that's the impact it has on us, is crucial to getting anything done. So a lot of it is, once again, things we're interested in doing, like this widening project is going to probably cost well over $200 million.
Wow.
But once again, that impact it will have to South Jersey residents and those heading to the short points or otherwise is going to be of great benefit.
I'll tell you a funny story off air about the first widening project, but but my one complaint that I have, which the executive director knows all the time, is I call him when it happens to me. What do you think that is, Christina?
I can't imagine.
Well, I'm on the cell phone between mile marker 31 and 35, and it goes off.
It's a dead zone.
But he promised me they're going to fix that.
That's right. So
tell me what they're going to do.
Yeah. Is it really?
Yeah, it's a dead zone.
I didn't see. I'm not traveling on the expressway. So I wouldn't know that. Go ahead.
And I call him, I'm like,
go on.
When are they going to fix this?
So when we do the widening project, we're going to do some infrastructure upgrades, of course, the bridges itself, the utility relocation. There is a significant portion of electric lines that go through there that go north-south over the expressway. So we're working with the utility companies to help resolve that, and also working with the cell tower owners and providers that we're asking for more cell towers in the area, which also can provide better coverage. Mile marker 32 is the worst. Yes. And it seems like I'm always on a call when that happens.
So I don't feel too bad. You're the boss and it's happening to you.
It doesn't. I don't have a satellite phone or otherwise. But we're, as part of this project, looking to do those upgrades, which will, once again, benefit the commuter.
Good. So I think it's a perfect spot to pivot to the airport a little bit more.
Yeah,
so go ahead.
I would love to talk about the airport. So I was raised in Cumberland County, and we've talked about this. You've heard me say this before, that when Spirit Airlines came into the airport back when I was late teens, early 20s, we would use it to fly to Florida constantly. It was so convenient. And so everyone in that Cumberland County area was using it. That has fallen off so much. There's so much potential and possibility. The benefits it could have to Atlantic City proper, Atlantic County generally, the shore communities generally. And also, I know there's been some conversation about potentially using Atlantic City Airport for cargo for business growth as well. So talk a little bit about it, because we have this property there and it's just not being utilized like it used to be.
Yeah. So for those who may not be familiar with the airport, within the fence line is 5,000 acres, which you could fit all of LaGuardia, all of JFK, and about half of Newark into that fence line. Now, a large portion of that is not ours. We share that campus with the FAA Tech Center, which on any given day has 10,000 folks in and out of their buildings and their facilities. The U.S. Coast Guard is stationed there, as well as the United States Air Marshals, which every air marshal needs to train. As part of their training, has to stop through ACY as a mandatory training requirement, as well as the 177th Air National Guard, which, of course, plays a tremendous role in the safety of the country, where when they receive a call to be up in the air, they have to be over New York and Washington, D.C. within 7 minutes. So it is a very interesting operation and region.
You want to get them to take you to Italy.
Right.
Go ahead, Steve.
That's a pretty quick trip, I would think. But and that comes with some challenges too, to work together to figure out what's best for the area. From the commercial air side, we have had Spirit for a number of years here, and we're actually going to be meeting with them in person to talk about what their plans are post now this unfortunate merger that fell through with JetBlue and what the impact that's going to be for our airport and just their overall operation. So we're curious to see what they say. Once again, they've been a longtime partner for us, and they've really built, to their credit, their brand up with South Jersey residents and the availability to get to Florida destinations or otherwise at a really low price. Yeah. Which, frankly, credit to them, kind of seals out the competition in some ways, because some of the airlines can't compete with Spirit's operation. But we're also unique to figure out how to bring in other air service that frankly, we'll compete with Spirit because we want them to be sharp and it's better for our customer, but finding ways to complement as well. So most recently, going on, well, it'll be 2 years soon in June, we entered into a partnership with American Airlines and a bus company called Landline.
That's right. I just learned about this and talk about this because this is fantastic. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, please. It is. It's exciting.
More people need to know about it.
Yeah, for sure. And we're working to get that message out. And what that consists of is you drive down to the airport. Hopefully you took the expressway to get there. You park in our parking garage. You enter the terminal, which frankly is very close to the parking. It's a very easy and enjoyable experience, even for those who don't like flying. You'll go ahead and get your ticket. You'll go through TSA. Our TSA lines on an average are less than 5 minutes, which is one of the lowest, if not the lowest in the country on any given year. You'll go up to your gate, hopefully grab a concession on the way, as we've just opened up some new concessionaires with some new sites with our concessionaires. Instead of going down the jet bridge when your plane's getting ready to take off, you'll actually go down a stairwell that'll lead to the tarmac to board a luxury charter bus that will take the expressway to Philadelphia International. It parks on the secure side of their airfield, and you go up their steps to the whichever terminal they're dropping you off at. And American has 90 plus destinations that you can fly out of there. So the benefit to that for the authority is we secure all that revenue that would come in for landing fees and otherwise, the concessions, the parking, which we then use to continue and promote new service. For the customer, it's you don't have to worry about the parking at Philadelphia International, the traffic that comes with I-95 and otherwise. And, really the way I look at it is it's a connecting flight just via bus, right? So more and more you're pretty much held to using multiple legs of a flight and a connecting flight. This just makes it more convenient. Once again, you're on a secure charter bus, Wi-Fi, top of the line luxury, and get you back and forth a little bit sooner for those who may go to Philadelphia or we're thinking about going to Newark instead.
And when you get to Philly, you don't have to go through TSA again.
Correct.
You're done. So you just get off the bus and you're done. And parking is so much more reasonable in Atlantic City than it is in Philly.
Sure.
And you don't have so it's a great service that SJTA and the airport's providing.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. It's done well so far. Mm-hmm. One of the things that we found most curious is folks are using it to come into the region and to Atlantic City more than they're going out. Because ACY's history has really been, it's a commuter airport for folks who have the second home in Florida or further south, the snowbirds who say, okay, I'm going to go down for a few months or back and forth for a long weekend. We're seeing more and more people using it to come into town than to leave. So as part of our conversation with American and Landline is we really want to start to promote that for the folks going outbound. And hopefully we'll be able to get that word out a little bit more because it's done well. And folks really enjoy it. It's been a good service. And frankly, it's also becoming what is the standard for air travel, not just in our country, but around the world. That there will be more of this bus to plane leg of the trip than there will be multiple planes just because it's become more convenient. And we were part of the pilot program first in the country to allow for that with Lehigh Valley Airport. Who's operating similar service down to Philadelphia. But we're the first two, and once again, it's going well. We're hoping it'll continue.
So it's a great airport, as you know. It's easy, convenient, and this is another alternative model, which is great for people. People don't know, by the way, that at one time when the space shuttle was actually flying, it was the third landing site for the space shuttle.
I learn something new every time I'm around you, Joe.
It's good. Christine is always learning something new. Thank God. Well, that's why we have this age difference. You're in a different generation. I learn about all the other stuff.
I'm significantly younger. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
That's true, though. It's true.
I mean, not kidding, but kidding.
So, Steve, I want to talk a little bit about your career path.
Sure.
Because one of the things that we're talking about all the time is leaders. This is a leadership podcast, how people get to where they get to. And I knew kind of what your career path was, but it'd be great for people to understand how you got to where you got to.
Sure. So I've only really had 2 employers or 2 jobs my entire career. And I graduated in May of 2001 with a double major in social science and criminal justice. I was really focused on getting into the law enforcement industry or business or service. And I had applications in with FBI, Secret Service, Customs, all the federal law enforcement agencies. At that time, September 11th happens, and I get a call that says, we're not going to be hiring anybody right now, but we're going to be creating this thing called the Department of Homeland Security. Just sit tight, and we'll be in touch. So frankly, I got a little antsy. I wanted to get going in my career. I just come home from college and was back with my parents and looking to start my own adult life outside of them. And I was working at Walgreens pharmacy in the photo shop for some time.
Great training ground for the CIA or FBI.
Yeah, right.
Don't laugh. I just read a book on a woman who did that in the 70s.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, how about that?
She worked in a photo shop, and that's how she got into the CIA.
Well, if this transportation thing doesn't work out, I'll definitely keep that in mind. So I'm itching to get started in my career and otherwise, and I had done an internship with a congressman in South Jersey, Rob Andrews, in the year 2000 down in the D.C. office. And they said to me, if there's anything we could ever do, let us know. So I took them up on it. My parents lived about a mile from his district office. So I called and said, hey, here's my situation. The chief of staff got the message wrong at that office and said, oh, we heard you're looking for a job here. I said, absolutely. Within 20 minutes, I threw on a suit, printed off my resume, and was in the office with my resumes. And they said, oh, you must be really interested. Said, absolutely. I didn't even know what the job was. I was just, once again, itching to get going. And I always, once again, with my double major in social science, I always enjoy politics, government as a whole. Thought, what's the worst that can happen? They say no, but maybe they can help me with what else I'm looking at. I ended up interviewing with time as chief of staff, Woody Anglade and Bill Caruso, who we all know. And then the congressman himself. Didn't go as I thought. So the congressman probably... Boy, in my 25 years of work and experience, was probably the most brilliant and articulate speaker I had ever met and know. He could talk about the nuclear weapons to a 5th grade class, to the Douglas School at Rutgers, and anybody in between. His history before being a congressman was a trial lawyer. And so when I went in an interview, I thought, there's no way in the world I'm getting this job. And they ended up offering it to me. So on my first day, I said, I got to ask, you had kids from Harvard and Penn and everywhere else. Why did you pick me? And the answer was 2 reasons. One, you're pretty mature and, we could see you really want to work. So we want somebody who's going to work. And 2, he said to me, he goes, do you think there's anything in government or politics that you can teach me that I don't already know? And it wasn't in a cocky way, but it was in a way of, I've been doing this for 20 years. My life experience is going to be out there. We're going to show you how to do it. And I was willing to learn anything and do anything. And I was there for about 7.5 years, working on what were key cases for VIPs and businesses in the area, as well as working on putting together public events for the congressman, where he'd visit the Chamber of Commerce and do his State of the Region speech. And
always the first event of the year.
Yep, always in January. Yep, right around the State of the Union. Yep,
and right around the State of the Union. Yep,
we always enjoyed that, and have the folks hear what was going on in Washington and what the plans for the year were, and putting together public events for him based on policy issues he was working on at that time. So I got to learn a lot about just business and different industry and people, and because I was interacting with people I probably never would have otherwise. And to have that experience and frankly, with someone as sharp as Rob and, just a really good mentor and teacher for so many years. Rob ran for the U.S. Senate in the primary against Senator Lautenberg at the time in 2008. He didn't win. And I was looking to transition out at that time. And there was an opening at the South Jersey Transportation Authority for the chief of staff position, which I interviewed and put in for, and then ultimately started in January of 2010. Commissioner was on the board at that time. Worked for Bart Mueller, who was the executive director at that point, for about 2.5 years until he retired. I stayed on as chief of staff, and then in October of 2015 was named executive director and have been there ever since.
Wow, 10 years almost, huh?
Yeah, 10 years, almost 10 years as AD and going on 14.
That's remarkable. I could say a few things. One is Rob was tremendously brilliant, and I knew him closely, as you know. And I could also say that every person who worked for him ended up in really great positions. And the reason I say that's important is because as a leader myself, it was always important to understand that the people who work for you, it was more important than how do you pay it forward. And every one of those people have ended up in something that's been substantial, including yourself. That's made a difference because Rob was smart, brilliant, but also was very committed. Mm-hmm. And he worked harder than anyone. And I'll never forget, it was a 4th of July parade. I had to talk to him about something. He says, well, you come meet me at this parade, but it was like 110 degrees out. And they all had suits on, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, I have to wear a suit, and I'm like, but Rob he did it well, but he did a great job of preparing all of you for great careers. And I know you're proud of that, but that's something that's obviously been important to you because now you have a chance to pay it forward for others as well, from that experience.
Yeah, and I did. I got to work with a lot of great people. We're on Rowan's campus today. The chief of staff here to Dr. Hushman, R.J. Talarita, worked at the congressman's office for a number of years. So once again, another successful person just coming off of the work tree, so to speak.
Yeah, it's been great.
So we heard about what you do now, what the authority does, and how you got there. So talk to us a little bit about what you do in your spare time when you're not worrying
Getting
about
calls from Joe about whether the phone's coming off.
Right. When Joe Gubbine isn't bothering you about a cell service on the expressway, what do you do?
Well, so a few things. One, I have 2 children. I have a daughter who's 16 and a boy who's 13, and they are extremely busy. So I'm still serving as Uber driver to many of their events, but really enjoying their events and participating in them. I coach a couple of my son's teams. My daughter, case in point, yesterday, I left work. My daughter finished her first day of golf practice for the golf team, which she's never played before, but is already enjoying. To drop my son off at the school for a basketball tournament he was participating in to play against the teachers. So it's constantly running around, as everybody knows what those can entail, but also to just sit and watch. And the conversations I get to have with them in the car, whether it's to different events or otherwise, are some of the best and some of the most rewarding. For my own personal time, I do enjoy traveling when I can. And as part of that travel, I enjoy scuba diving. I've been a certified scuba diver since, I guess, a little over 20 years now. So I try to, as much as I can, get a trip where I can at least get a dive in or multiple dives whenever possible. So that's
so interesting. That's terrifying to me.
Hey, the Dougherty clan in South Philly should be proud that we have somebody who can scuba dive. We only learned how to swim in the Delaware River, so we didn't know a lot.
Yeah, my introduction to swimming, my family's been in North Wildwood since 1947.
Right.
And it was throwing you into the water at Moores Beach, and you figure it out however you get there.
Right.
So I was probably trained well as part of that. So
no doubt.
And that's another thing we enjoy as a family. We have a family house down there that's been in I guess going on 4 generations.
Wow.
So we enjoy spending time there. We can with extended family and otherwise.
Nothing like that North Wildwood place for people from my old neighborhood, by the way.
Mine too.
Yeah, I know.
As it's referenced, South Philly was sand. So
yeah.
It's the same people. It's just a different physical environment.
All 3 of us have been in executive type positions. One of the final questions I have is, how do you navigate your board? Because Christina had to navigate me at one time, and I respected that.
That was a full-time job.
And you, of course, yeah.
Full-time job, let me tell you.
It is a full-time job still. Look, for us, we have 8 commissioners on the board, one of which is the DOT commissioner, who's the chair, and then 8 individuals who, frankly, volunteer their time. They're not paid to be there.
Exactly.
They're not being compensated, so they're doing it out of the goodness of South Jersey and their heart, for South Jersey and out of their heart. And look, just like anything else, you try to meet people where they're at, figure out what their interests are and how they think they can help, and marrying them together with others. And the mission ultimately at the authority, you can't make everybody happy all at one time, but we do our best to satisfy, because, once again, they're serving, they have the best interests of the authority at heart. And just like anyone else, you try to figure out what makes them tick and how you can help and serve. And there's usually a lot of common ground in between.
And not to get into a lot of detail about your board, but there's a strict criteria of people who are put on the board and their distance from where they live, what counties. So it's not like anybody could serve. There's actually designations of where people, like when I was the commissioner, I think it was because it was Gloucester County. I was adjacent to the expressway.
Yep.
So it's a very complicated thing how those people are appointed. But you're right. Everybody has their interest, but if their mission of the organization is what's important, and they should be proud of that. So I'm going to let you conclude. How's that?
Listen, I just want to say thank you. I think this is great. For us in South Jersey, we do so much driving, and the Atlantic City Expressway is the focal point of 99% of our summer vacations and what we do with our families. And so learning a little bit more about the authority, I think, is really helpful. Your leadership path, I always say, people that come up through politics, because you get to know all walks of life. You learn things you never thought you'd ever learn, and then you take all of that with you and you apply it to what you do moving forward. It's never about experience, and Stephen's a perfect example of how you really embraced those 7-8 years with the former congressman, and then look where you are today doing great service for South Jersey. So thank you.
Absolutely. And if you're nice, Christina, he may invite you to the air show this year.
Absolutely.
I mean, I get invited, but just in case, so.
I've never been invited.
Well, now you'll be this
That's
year.
going to change.
Steve, thank you so much. And thank you for all you do for New Jersey and South Jersey and all you've done over your long career, which still has a long window to go. And proud of having been associated with you anyway. And thank you for doing this podcast with us.
I appreciate you having me as a guest. It's always good to be with you both professionally and personally, the two of you. And I wish you well as you continue to get the word out about what's going on in South Jersey and for leadership and otherwise. So thank you.
Great.
Yeah,
thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. What was your key takeaway from this discussion? Share it on our social media channels at Simply Dynamic Podcast. Next up, in our Fresh Perspective segment, established leaders and early career professionals will share insights and ideas on similarities and differences among mentors, coaches, leaders, and sponsors.
What are some of the similarities between leaders and mentors and some differences? The similarities, they're both going to be there to guide and support you. You're going to be able to get them for advice. They're going to be your role models. It may not be the role model you have for your entire life, but for that position you're trying to learn. And they're great for communication. It could be formal or it could be informal through email, Teams, or phone calls. Differences, your leader is going to be a formal person in the organizational structure. They're going to be the ones that are responsible for the business themselves. The mentor can be the CEO. The mentor can be a peer, but they're just experts on what you're trying to learn and what you're learning from them. The way they're going to hold you accountable is going to be different. Leader's going to hold you accountable for the business. They're going to want the business to succeed, or the mentor is going to be just holding you responsible for what you have learned from them.
Distinguishing between a mentor, mentee, and sponsor is hugely important. Each role plays such a crucial part in facilitating professional growth and success. A mentor is an experienced individual who offers guidance, support, and advice to a less experienced person. Mentors typically have expertise in a particular field or area and willingly share their knowledge and insights to help the mentee develop professionally and personally. The mentor-mentee relationship is often characterized by mutual respect, trust, and is a commitment to the mentee's growth and development. A mentee is someone who seeks guidance, feedback, and support from a more experienced individual. Mentees are often early to mid-level professionals, students, or individuals seeking to develop specific skills or advance their careers. Mentees are proactive in seeking out mentorship opportunities, setting goals, and implementing feedback provided by their mentors to achieve personal and professional growth. While a sponsor is a senior-level individual within the organization who actively advocates and promotes the career advancement of a protege. Sponsors use their influence, networks, and resources to create opportunities, visibility, and career advancement for their proteges.
In order for somebody to be a strong mentor, they have to be a strong leader. Mentors are critical in teaching us how to follow in their footsteps and how to improve ourselves in any activity or endeavor. One of the key differences between a mentor and a leader is that there is a friendship that often builds between a mentor and a mentee, whereas a leader is someone who you can often be subordinate to. A mentor takes the role of a concerned friend, or in certain circumstances, even a big brother or a big sister. For some people, it might be easier to learn from a mentor than a leader. For one, it can be less intimidating. You don't feel that you have to impress the individual. Very often you have the ability to just be yourself with that person, and they can see your true thoughts and feelings, which in the end can lead to stronger guidance. Whereas a leader, someone may feel shy around that person. They're going to be more measured with their words, and that can fall short of them being able to express themselves fully and openly. In certain situations, one might choose to work with their mentor over a leader. This very often can be because an individual may feel less intimidated to speak with someone who they've been receiving mentorship from, rather than trying to express new ideas or thoughts to their leader. Very often there's a friendship that builds between a mentor and a mentee that instills trust in their conversation and the ability to express their true self in a way that they may not want to share with someone who is their superior. Angelo Pinti, Senior Financial Advisor with Merrill Lynch in Philadelphia, first graduate of the Entrepreneurship Program at Rowan University, and member of the Rohr College of Business Alumni Advisory Council.
Denise Dennery, Program Assistant, Office of Career Advancement, Advisory Board Chair, Women's Alliance Network at Rowan University.
Robert Rogers, Member Engineering Staff at Lockheed Martin, Rohr College Business Fellow, Rowan MBA student.
In each episode of the Simply Dynamic podcast, we'd like to close out with an action-oriented tip from an expert that you can implement in your workplace. Today's expert tip comes from Sandra Gubbine. Sandy is the AVP of Revenue Cycle at AtlantiCare in Atlantic County, New Jersey.
My leadership tip is about ownership and accountability. They both are the same. So when you are becoming a leader, one of the big things you have to understand is that you have to own what's going on around you. You have to own your own destiny. You have to own situations. So it also drives to self-reflection. Truly self-reflect on what you could do better, how you can do better, what is it that you could do in a situation that would improve it. So when something isn't working well, when a project is kind of going awry, look at what is it that you could do better. I've had situations where I've had real projects just going awry, and I'll say, you know what? I'm going to take ownership of this. This may not be my project, but I'm going to help pull it together. That's what I can do better. I'm a very good facilitator, so I'll take that on. And I self-reflect. I can't do it all. So who is it that I can pull in, and who is it that I can encourage? So I'm always working with people to see how they can be better, and how can I help them be better. So when situations go awry, I'm looking to see what is it that I could do better. Situation I recently had, we have a team that really went awry. That team reports to a manager who reports to a director who reports to me. And I knew that the team was having some struggles, but I hadn't stepped in. And then it really exploded. And so then I stepped in and I told the team that, I own this too, that we need to pull together, that right now we're really dysfunctional. We all own that. I own it too, because I knew it was happening and I didn't do anything. So I stepped in, I helped take ownership, I helped provide education, and I'm putting myself out there to say, what is it I can do to make this situation better? One of the barriers I find with people who are trying to get up through leadership and they kind of get stuck and they get to a certain point and they're like, how do I get to the next level? The problem is they can't self-reflect. They think that if I check off all the boxes and I do what everybody says I need to do, I'll just automatically be promoted. And those are usually people that can't self-reflect in the sense that maybe their communication style isn't the greatest. They're not really paying attention to how people are receiving them. They're always delivering the message in their way they want to communicate it, rather than who's my audience? What does my audience want to know? So that's how people grow in their leadership role, always being accountable, owning your own growth. Put in the time, and you have to keep yourself open-minded. Be able to take, objective criticism. Sometimes that can be the best thing. If you really listen to what someone has to say, how they perceive you, that helps your own self-reflection, because you may not even realize that people are seeing you in a way that you yourself think you're being very, very helpful, and other people are perceiving it's your way or the highway. And so you really do have to be careful that you can, just what you think that you are delivering is not what's important. It's how other people are receiving. And the way for you to grow in your leadership is to always own what you're doing, always watch your audience, how they're handling what you're giving, take the criticism, take the feedback, learn what it is that you need to do better, What is it that you're looking for? Making sure that you're not just talking at your audience, that your audience, ask them, what is it that you want to hear? What is it you need from me? What else do you need me to do? What else is it that you need from me? When you just deliver information that you think that they need, eventually it becomes stale over time and people aren't engaged anymore. So you have to learn to engage by saying, hey, I want to be the help here. I'm going to own this project. I'm going to own this reporting. What is it you need to be successful? How can I contribute to your success? And if you don't put that time and that effort and ownership, it's going to stifle your career. So really, honestly, being accountable, taking ownership, always self-reflection, always looking at how you could do something better, because we can always do things better. We all have those days that we don't do things well. One of my big things is don't just react, respond. You get a bad email, you're in a bad mood, you want to respond, you type it out, save it in your drafts and walk away and go back the next day. And it's surprising how your perspective will be so different. And the next day you'll think, wow, man, I'm glad I didn't send that off. Because it really, you'll start to say, there's times I have to say 50% of the time I don't respond at all. Other 50% of the time I delete it and I do a much more professional owner, something that I own. And how can I help with the situation? So every situation's different. You've got to be flexible. But as long as you're always willing to self-reflect, always willing to take some ownership, always willing to be accountable, you will be successful. Sandra Gubbine, AVP of Revenue Cycle, AtlantiCare, alumni of Rowan RCB MBA program 2007, adjunct professor of accounting and finance in RCB.
Thank you to all of our guests for joining us today, and thank you, our audience, for listening to the Simply Dynamic podcast. This podcast is a collaborative project led by the Graduate Studies team at Rowan University's Rohr College of Business in partnership with our hosts, Joe Devine and Christina Renna, and with support from producer and creative director Keith Brand, a professor in Rowan's radio, television, and film department. Music from this episode came from Epidemic Sound and Renku Corporation, recorded in collaboration with nonprofit partners. To learn more about the Simply Dynamic podcast, visit simplydynamicpodcast.com. Until the next episode, take care, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon.